there's got to be a little bit of respect between him and Stephen A, because he could have pressed anybody. You gave him a gift. You gave him the gift of content. You gave him a gift of his attention. And now, as we're seeing it, weeks later, days later, it's still a thing. And you want to talk about somebody who might need to go back to the negotiation table. Whatever they paid Stephen A that day 3 weeks ago, or they announced 3 weeks ago, he's already proven that he's worth more than that, because all the attention that he's brought to the network, to the show, to everything he says about LeBron, you can't buy that sort of attention.
All right, we have a very special guest in the building, a man who wears many hats, co-host of 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, creator of the Say Less podcast. He's a writer, producer, and I can't forget, an Emmy award-winning media personality. Cass, thank you so much for coming on the show. What's up, cousin?
Thank you for having me, Samaria. Rodney, good to see you as well. Really looking forward to this, man. It should be fun.
Man, I want to know, who is your esthetician, boy? The skin is glowing. What's going on?
First off,
what's going? I don't see a pore in sight.
Don't let this man fool you, okay? First off, his skincare routine, right? Like, way better than all of ours. This is just the product of a really good ring light and a really good shape up. That's all that is. That's all that is.
Okay. Phenomenal shape up as well. You definitely have a Dominican barber.
How'd you guess? I need you need the close shave. You need the one blade on there. The Dominicans know how to one blade you for real. So yes, you
absolutely.
You know ball, sir.
All right, man. Excited for this conversation. Good brother. I've known you for about 12 or 15 years now. Firstly, I'm extremely proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
I just seen the growth, not just as a host there, but as a father, as a man. Just, I can say a million different kind of things about you, but I want to first bust you a little bit, because you are die easy Knicks fan. And my serious disdain for the New York Knickerbocker organization, but you guys are on a huge upswing right now. What are your thoughts about this team as we get into this last leg of the NBA regular season, heading into the playoffs?
Well, the Knicks are, like you said, it's easy being a die-easy Knicks fan, because there's only one way to be. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You got to have both feet in if you're a New York Knicks fan. But I am cautiously optimistic about these New York Knicks this year, right? Like, I think in the past several years.
What does that mean?
The past 2 years, one could say that the Knicks definitely overachieved in the playoffs. They went in there, probably injury riddled, didn't have like a full squad, but I think the entire world got to see the magic of Jalen Brunson when it comes to games that really matter. And, even with rosters that on paper probably seemed a little bit overmatched last year against the Philadelphia 76ers, even against the Indiana Pacers, down Mitchell Robinson, down Julius Randle, down a lot of these guys.
Can we stop?
Brunson still. This is about Brunson. This is about who they lost. This is about Jalen Brunson, okay? One can make the argument that he is on the short list of probably the top 3 point guards on earth right now. And when it comes to playoff basketball, you want somebody who you trust with the ball, and you want somebody who you need to get a big-time bucket in crunch time when booty get tight and everyone's really scared to shoot that ball. Jalen Brunson has shown time and time again. If he wasn't injured, he'd probably be the runaway winner for clutch player of the year this year. I think he leads the league in clutch points or something like that, or wins with like 5 points or less or something. That's who you want on your team, right? Granted, the big thing going into these playoffs were just make sure the Knicks get there healthy. Get in there in one piece. Go in there with your best foot forward. The Pistons are on the rise. Can't sleep on them. The Bucks are always dangerous, even though, Damian Lillard's blood clot situation, praying for him, make sure he makes a speedy recovery. That's something to watch out for. I don't think anybody's worried about that first round. Now, it's that second round that every Knicks fan is like, all right, you're either going to get the Celtics or you're going to get the Cavaliers. More likely, you're going to get the Boston Celtics. And all year round, don't wave. Don't do this. All year round, the Boston Celtics have put belt to ass to the New York Knicks. I'll say it like it's been real. But I'm still cautiously optimistic because of that fact. Like, the Knicks are going to go into that playoff series, if they make it to the second round, with zero expectations. And as a Knicks fan, That's exactly where I want to be. I don't want nobody rooting for us. I want everyone to expect the Celtics just mop the floor with the Knicks.
You cheddar bombing yourself.
Yes, that's what you gotta do.
You are cheddar bombing yourself.
That's what you gotta do.
No. I'm not letting you get away with this. This is phenomenal strategy. Phenomenal strategy. I want you to die slow. I want you to have a swell of pride, and I want to see your damn balloon burst, and I want to see the tears that you've had for the last 30 plus years.
But we don't win anything.
Don't give me this new approach.
What goodness, what happiness do you get from watching Knicks fans lose? We don't win championships. Not like with the Lakers or the Celtics, but we're just like always in the mix.
No. It's like the Cowboys. It's that swell of optimism, right? Every year, I think we got one. I think we got it this time. And then when that bubble gets burst, as somebody who just hates the Knicks, it brings me so much joy. I just, I know what you're doing. I don't like your approach because I want to see you. I want to see you happy. Then swiftly
miserable. As the New York Knicks have number 11 on the floor, I believe they always have a chance.
Oh my!
I believe they always have a chance. He's shown time and time again that he could rise to the occasion. So until I'm proven otherwise, I will remain cautiously optimistic. You hater.
Speaking of haters, I do need to ask you about the LeBron Stephen A. beef. Stephen A. has responded, of course, to LeBron recently after LeBron was on Pat McAfee. He said, I'm out here, I'm protecting my household, I'm protecting the players. But Stephen A. is calling him a liar, talking about he would have swung on LeBron if he needed to. You work closely with Bron. What did you make of all of this?
Work closely with Bron is a bridge a little far. We've worked together. Yes, I've worked for Spring Hill for some time. And obviously his entire team, everybody has always been fantastic to me, and we've always done great work together. But yeah, I mean, obviously LeBron James moves on LeBron James time. And at the end of the day, this entire LeBron, Stephen A., Bronny sort of back and forth and ballyhoo over the past several years sort of came to a head about 3 weeks ago now. And I'm a pro wrestling fan, right? So I look at everything in the scope of what's the real story here? What's happening? The day that happens, Stephen A. Smith's brand new landmark ESPN Disney contract is announced.
Oh, yeah.
And LeBron pressing Stephen A. that day, everybody looked at, oh man, Stephen A.'s finally gonna get it. I looked at it as like, if I'm Stephen A., I'm looking up to the heavens, I'm saying, hallelujah. Like, you just gave this man, as much as people may say this and that, and not necessarily knowing what what the real issue between LeBron and Stephen A. is. There's we had Dwayne Wade on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he laid it out completely perfectly, right? LeBron has been talked about by everybody every single day of his life since he was about 14 years old, right? LeBron really 17. Right. I'm thinking Sports Illustrated cover, like the chosen one. That's like 14, 15-year-old LeBron James. Way back.
No, that was after Lenny Cook.
Nah, he was a long ass time, like 20 years, basically.
A long time.
I give LeBron a lot of grace because he's much better than me. I would have told people about themselves a long time ago if I was LeBron James in the same situation. So when he gets the chance to clap back at somebody or defend himself, whether he's right, wrong, or indifferent, I give him a lot of grace because he was sort of like he was sort of like the outbreak monkey, like the test tube baby of what sports talk has turned into, right? Like, he was like that. His arrival onto the sports landscape changed the way sports media was covered forever. Debate shows, talk shows, who's this, who's the GOAT, is he going to live up to this? Like, he said on the Pat McAfee show, and I remember watching it, his first game against the Sacramento Kings, they had an entire video package where they're like, Magic, Jordan, Wilt, Kareem, LeBron. He's 18 years old, right? So he gets wild grace from me. No matter what people say about it, I'm like, nobody has ever been through this type of scrutiny as an athlete and is continue playing at a high level to this day. There's a small part of me that believes that there's got to be a little bit of respect between him and Stephen A. Because he could have pressed anybody about anybody who said anything about him, anybody about his son or whatever. But to press Stephen a black man in the media who has the biggest microphone, the biggest audience as far as anybody is concerned, you gave him a gift. You gave him the gift of content. You gave him a gift of his attention. And now, as we're seeing it, weeks later, days later, it's still a thing. And you want to talk about somebody who might need to go back to the negotiation table. Whatever they paid Stephen A. that day 3 weeks ago, or they announced 3 weeks ago, he's already proven that he's worth more than that, because all the attention that he's brought to the network, to the show, to everything he says about LeBron, you can't buy that sort of attention. So
I hate this, Kaz. I hate this. And it's like, men who have shaken Sinatra's hand are supposed to have lived by a code, right? And there is something to be said about the idea that this older 60-year-old man is hopping in the mud, talking negatively about not just Bronny the basketball player, but LeBron the father, right? And using this as a ladder to gain mentions and social media fodder. It sits in my spirit as a father very disgustingly. You have 2 children. If someone were to speak about your children and the way that you've allowed them to flourish in their profession, would you not have taken offense to
now, I say all that to say, I'm speaking on behalf of if I was LeBron, right? Now, if I was me, I'm not letting any of that slide when it comes to my kids, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. Like if my girls decide they want to be in the media industry one day and they want to host TV shows or whatever it is, and then somebody comes in there and pretty much says like, this person doesn't deserve it because X, Y, Z, and they're trash and all that type of stuff, like, you better believe. First off, I'm pressing you off of anything about my kids. Talk less of their chosen profession, right? Talk less of the fact that they're coming back off of something that might have killed them. And it's just a miracle that they're just even up and active and doing all that type of stuff. I'm pressing you. I'm already sensitive. So, and I said this on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, man, like, we've all had moments where we're willing to crash out over our kids and we'll never regret it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll never regret, I'm being like, I'll punch this guy in the face, but it was, for my kids, was it the right thing to do? No. Was I a little bit emotional? Yes, but that's my kid. If I can't be emotional over my children, what can I not be emotional about? So I give Bron lots of grace. Like I said, like, people talk about him since he was 17 years old, 16 years old. Now they talk about his kids. He really doesn't say nothing. He doesn't name media personalities by name. Like, he gets a lot of grace from me. I would have pressed him.
You know what's crazy, Kaz? Stephen A. Smith has a daughter that is an actress, and she just was in her first feature film. And the film has done over 100 million streams on its platform. I ain't hear Stephen A. Smith say nothing about that. I haven't heard Stephen A. Smith mention this one time. And yet he has so much energy for LeBron James and his son. Why don't you let people into your world? Why don't you let people talk about your child's performance in this film? But he doesn't want to do that. There are a lot of skeletons in this man's closet. The only reason I know is because I met her at the premiere. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And so even in the throes of all of this back and forth with LeBron and Bronny, he didn't even take the time out to publicize on his very big platform his daughter's first feature film. And she is like third on the call sheet in the film.
Wow.
Very crazy.
It is crazy and a little telling, but I to defend Stephen A. here, I got to defend him a little bit. Like, he kept it. His job is to talk about basketball and what happens within the basketball scape, right? And he's had many opportunities. Had many opportunities to talk about Bronny. We've talked about Bronny on our platforms when he was in high school, when he was in college, and lots of, we've had lots of opportunities to talk about him making the McDonald's All-American game. There's a lot of people who probably thought like, all right, maybe there was something going on there where he made that team. Not saying he didn't deserve it, but he made it regardless, right? Stephen A. never really spoke about this dude's basketball game or anything like that because he wasn't in the NBA. And it's almost a little bit unfair to not acknowledge the circumstances to which led Bronny, not just to the NBA, but specifically to the Lakers. If you cover the NBA, if you're the biggest voice in basketball, Like, I'm not trying to defend Stephen A, but it's like, what do you expect him to talk about? Like, how can he not mention this?
Yeah, and you talk about the on court stuff, but don't tell me that I'm doing a bad job as a father because I'm putting my son in the fire of an NBA
Hey,
game. Like if this is what my son wants to do, I'm gonna give him a chance to sink or swim, and that's what a real father does. I don't want to. We have so many more things to talk to you about. I don't want to. This is a topic
oh, we'll
that
talk about
swells
this. This
and
isn't
gets a
going
lot of
anywhere.
energy and emotion.
Okay, Kaz, in other news, Xavier Worthy situation. And this is something that Rodney and I have talked about on our platform recently. He did come out with a lawsuit against his ex saying that, he was the victim of domestic violence. He had to cut his hair because she pulled his locks out and all of the things. I suggested that he call law enforcement or team security or something. Rodney didn't feel like that in our climate was the best move. I guess when you read that story, what was your reaction, or what do you feel like Xavier could have done in that situation?
I mean, that's always a tough situation to read about because it's like everybody always says what they would do in the situation, especially, we're not in the fire with them when it's happening, right? We're all sitting in comfortable situations with microphones in our faces and being like, all right, we would do X, Y, Z because this is the right thing to do, and yada, yada, yada. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of times, especially when it comes to people of notoriety, um, a lot of times it's protecting your reputation. And once it's out there that you are this type of person, a lot of times the truth really doesn't matter after that. Like the truth of the facts of what took place, it becomes second fiddle to the hot headline. Oh, another NFL player in domestic issues or this, that, and the third. We just see what happened with Jay-Z, right? Like Jay, once the accusations were out there, the headlines were everywhere about, what this person was accusing Jay-Z of. And to his credit, he spared no expense to make sure not only was his name cleared, but the person that was making these accusatory statements, they were brought into question because he said like, yo, like you're not going to, my name is my name. Like you're not going to ruin it with these baseless accusations. Talk less of somebody who is truly a victim of, the same accusations you're giving. So, we see it every season, right? Like with these football players and, getting into specific situations with, domestic partners. Like it's always a tough situation because it's when it becomes violent and, you don't really know what to sort of do and how to, that you don't know who Xavier Worthy is as a person. Like you don't know if he's just somebody who would rather not be in the public eye. It's like you're a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. You are the model franchise in the NFL right now. You play with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. You just went to 3 Super Bowls. You're a rookie, and you're low key Patrick Mahomes' favorite target outside of Travis Kelce. The last thing you want is any sort of negativity towards you about anything, especially when in the NFL it's not for long for a reason. Like the moment that you are any sort of trouble off the field or anything like that, that people aren't worth dealing with, I'm sure it runs through their mind. That's like, all right, like I'd rather just take care of this internally than let it get to the news, let it get to the police department, let it be something that takes my attention away from the Super Bowl that we're trying to win and all this type of stuff. I can understand why they would initially just do what any sane person would do and alert the authorities that I'm the one who's actually being a victim of this. Now, it's tough, man. Like because I always say we don't know these people at the same time, right? Like we read stories, we read hearsay, but at the end of the day, the only people that know the truth is those two and God. And it's just always uncomfortable to read and see about those situations, especially when it comes to domestic situations, because they're always like 95% of the time, driven from emotion. And when emotion is a part of it, facts get muddled. What you believe is the truth is your truth. What I believe the truth is my truth, and it's always just uncomfortable. So I hate reading stuff like that. I hope they're both figure out a way to properly, amicably make things better between the two. But Xavier Worthy is an extremely talented dude, probably broke combine records last year in the NFL combine, ended up on the Chiefs, and man, it's just a tough situation all throughout, man. I hate hearing stuff like that.
Yeah. Samaria was talking about call the police. And I'm like, as a black man, I don't think you understand what it means to call the police and get law enforcement involved. Not just because of the stigma, but just because what happens when law enforcement arrives. If I'm a tall, strong black man, I have locks, like the optics of that alone put me in danger. And I just think that that's not taken into account when you encourage black men to call the police. I want to move on away from that. And whatever, that is what it is. But you had the beautiful experience of working on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Carmelo. I watched the full episode with you and D Wade. What has the experience been like to be in that space with Carmelo? And what's something about his personality that you see in the podcast space that you would have never imagined just watching him on the court?
Man, if it looks like I'm having fun on the show, because I am. It is like literally a dream situation. Rodney, Samaria, you know what it's like as far as like the media landscape is right now, especially when it comes to athletes. We just had a whole conversation about Stephen A. Smith, and as powerful as he is, he's not as powerful without his access, and having direct weekly access with a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of my personal favorite basketball players. And not only just being able to talk ball with him in a time where a lot of people who consume basketball content feel like there isn't enough talk about just ball and like what makes the game beautiful, and being able to talk about it with a specific sort of reverence that I think a lot of the no shots to anybody, a lot of the NBA OGs don't necessarily speak with it as much. I think it's sort of refreshing when people turn on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn and we're not on the current product, and we're not just being like, oh man, he's not MJ, and back in the 90s would have been this, that, and the third. It's like Melo has a specific sort of vantage point as one of the new OGs in the league, that he gets respect from the current generation and the generation before that. He has a son who's living it and is about to start his own journey as well. And on top of that, he's about to enter the Hall of Fame next year, and being able to sit and talk and have these stories that the world gets to watch about not just him and his experiences in the NBA, but all the guests that we have on the show. I mean, Dwayne Wade coming on the show, man, that was a pinch me moment for me personally, because those are two of my favorite basketball players when I was playing ball, right? Like I had their jerseys and everything. I thought I was D Wade. I got the baldy and the goatee and everything back in the day. So being able to sit with him and talk about LeBron stories as this LeBron thing is happening like in real time was amazing, man. And when you're around, you've both been around a lot of high profile people when it comes to interviews or just media and stuff like that. Well, we all know the one thing that we hope it is when you're interviewing somebody. It's like, yo, please don't be a jerk. Please don't be a jerk.
Don't be an ass.
Please be as
don't
cool.
Be an ass,
right. Don't be an ass. Like, please be as cool as I imagine you to be. And Melo just supersedes all those thoughts, man. Like, as soon as I walked in there, of course, shout out to the kid Mero as well, our other co-host Monica McNutt, Rudy Gay, legend of the DMV, legend of the UConn Huskies and the NBA.
And Pierce. Shout out to Pierce, man. Gotta shout Pierce out.
Yeah, shout out Pierce as always. But it's been so wonderful, man, and they've been so welcoming to me as well, especially just sort of the point of view I bring to the show as far as everything that he talks about, and having his respect, having the ability to sort of grow under him as a media personality, and both of us as well, right? Like, he's getting ready to start his chapter as like a lead analyst for NBC Sports when the NBA goes to NBC next year, and being able to sort of like get his feet wet as a constant media personality and being able to be on top of everything has been a wonderful experience. And just their entire team, and especially Melo and Creative 7 and Wave Originals, they've just been amazing to me, and I'm just having a blast doing the show, man, and I hope people are enjoying it too.
Well, I need to know, brother, because I'll be sitting on the sidelines and I watch y'all constantly talk about wrestling. What the hell is it about wrestling that makes y'all nerd out like this? You already know it's fake. Yes, they are athletes, but what the hell is the obsession with wrestling, bro?
Rodney, don't you feel left out right now? Don't you feel left
out
right now?
Not.
You do. Because right now, like, Rodney's known me for a long time. I've always been a pro wrestling fan. I've worked in WWE for some time. I've done podcast. I just finished my wrestling podcast, the Ringer Wrestling Show, under the Ringer Network just now. And I've worked as a writer at WWE, so I was there for about a year and some change, helping to create the storylines. But I've always had a great relationship with just pro wrestling in general. And right now they're
Sell me on the product. Why should I watch wrestling? Because just objectively speaking, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Let me tell you something. Pro wrestling every week. It's a new episode every week. There's no reruns. There's no reshoots. There's no take twos. There's storylines that you can get engaged with. There's storylines that, to be honest, may not be so good. But the ones that you do like, you follow not just for 10 episodes if it's a Netflix show, 6 episodes if it's a Hulu show. You're following these storylines for years with people's stories. And on top of that, when it comes to specific wrestlers, like it's a weird sort of a balance where they're these superheroes on television that play like these like larger than life characters, but they're also like real guys. So there's always that interest of like, was that supposed to happen? Or is this part of the show? Is this not part of the show? Like there's always that gray area that's always caused that intrigue as well. But just watching it for the first time, if you ever go to a show live, you gotta, Rodney, I'm gonna bring you to an episode of Monday Night Raw one day or Friday Night SmackDown. You have to see it in person. You get a whole new appreciation for the athleticism, what they do for their bodies as far as like what they put themselves through, being able to talk to a crowd, engage with the crowd. Like you see so many people who go out in front of crowds all day. They're like, like it is a gift to be able to walk in front of 20,000 strangers every single night and engage them. Like and now on top of that, they're getting the attention of mainstream media. You see Travis Scott being a part of it. You see Patrick Mahomes was there. I mean, Logan Paul and the Paul brothers, and obviously Cody Rhodes has become superstar. The Rock is not just a part of WWE anymore. He's one of the board members, so he's actually has stake in the game. And I'll say this. What really helped wrestling blow up recently was the pandemic. I'll give you that, because once everything slowed down, when people stopped like creating new shows and TV, wrestling never stopped. And when there was nothing on TV, people were just watching Raw and SmackDown every single week. And by the time we got out of the pandemic and people were ready to go back outside and be around people, one of the first modes of entertainment that was back live and in front of people was pro wrestling. And now we're seeing the benefits of it, right? Like, on top of that,
I'd rather watch the milk crate challenge. I'm sorry. I missed the milk crates.
I'm going to bring you, listen. Are you in the West right now? You in the West Coast?
You know where I'm
at. All right, listen. Listen, WrestleMania this year.
Where's Wale Mania this year?
I'm about to tell you. WrestleMania this year is in Las Vegas, Nevada, right? Every year, me, my brother Wale, go stream his new single out, Blanco, right now. We throw
Blanco for sure.
We throw what we call Wale Mania, which is the unofficial welcome to WrestleMania weekend party. This is our 10th year doing it. This year we got Netflix co-producing Wale Mania with us. Obviously you can watch Monday Night Raw on Netflix, but it's a combination of a concert, a fan party, and just, when it's WrestleMania week, there's a bunch of like other wrestling shows going on, but there's no real vibes. There's no real parties. It's like going to All-Star Weekend and all there is basketball, right? We're just like, yo, we need a vibe. Like, we need something to enjoy. And that's what Wale Mania is. It's a mixture of all that.
No. I love battle rap, right? I love battle rap. I do not want to hang out with battle rap fans. There's no cool factor to battle rap fans. And I feel the same way about the Rodney community. I love you. I'm a fan of
Thursday.
Wale. I love Money. DJ Money. That's
DJ Money. He will be DJing at Wale Mania also. Rodney, I'm gonna bring you. I'm bringing you to Wale Mania this year. Thursday, April 17th, Brooklyn Bowl. You are going to be my guest. You're going to be my guest. I will introduce you to a bunch of the wrestlers. I'll introduce you to the fans. Are
you wearing clothes? I don't want to shake their hand if they're in
yes. What do you think? You
I
think they
don't
just
wanna-
walk around their
I don't
underwear
wanna-
all day? Like, what do you think? They're real people,
Yeah,
man. Come on, sir.
I don't want to see that. I'm cool, bro.
All right,
I'm
we
cool
can
with
see.
that.
I've never brought somebody to a wrestling event and they weren't just like at the end of it weren't like, I completely get it now. This is so awesome. This is so fun. I've hooked everybody, Rodney, and you next. You next.
If I'm
you
not,
too,
if I'm
Samaria.
not
You
being
coming
introduced to the beautiful women of the WWE, then I'm tapped out, bro. If I'm not shaking hands with the ladies.
Listen, I went through all of that description of how great pro wrestling is without even mentioning the beautiful women. Without even mentioning it. That's what you
crazy.
brought up.
That's a selling point. That's the selling point.
Listen.
All right.
That is the way.
We get out of here.
Yeah.
We got Bron. We got Luka. Looking very, very good in Los Angeles right now. Obviously OKC. We got Cleveland. We got Boston. Who do you have as the NBA champion 2025 as we close out this season, man?
I'll be honest. I really think it's the Oklahoma City Thunder's year, man. Like they're just a team who's just, I really do. They have a combination of youth, length, defense. The defense is, I think, what people don't really talk about enough of the Thunder. SGA, obviously, amazing player. Gonna get a lot of attention, and obviously warranted attention as far as MVP is concerned. But that Oklahoma City Thunder defense is what really stands out for this team, and their strength is the Lakers' biggest weakness. And I think as it stands right now, the Lakers are probably the team best equipped to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The only thing is they still don't really have a true answer in the middle as far as like centers are concerned. And when it comes to Isaiah Hartenstein, when it comes to Chet Holmgren, when it comes to SGA's ability to penetrate and get into that paint and score in there, I think it's going to give the Lakers a lot of trouble. And on top of that, even the Lakers' best shot, I still don't think they're as deep and as talented as the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Celtics, repeating is hard, man. They're a very good team. Tatum's ankle injury probably is not that big of a deal, but it's hard to repeat in this year, no matter how good you are. And I just don't get the feeling that this is a team that is just going to just run the table once again, especially last year, given the way they got there. So I still think it's the Oklahoma City Thunder's year. I'm taking them.
The way they shoot it, the way Boston shoots it, I think they're a really tough out. Oklahoma City just does not have a secondary scorer that I trust, right? Like I know Jalen he has good games, but he has these games where it's just like, who are you actually?
Yeah, you're right.
And I think that I think they're a little vulnerable to a team like Denver. I also see a team like the Clippers giving them a real headache because Zubac is a beast in the middle, and then you also have elite perimeter defenders, elite perimeter scorers. The Lakers actually are probably the easiest matchup for the Thunder just based on age and how they play defense. But I don't see the Thunder actually making it out of the second round this year. I know that sounds crazy, but it wouldn't shock me at all if they didn't even make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I think when it comes to a lot of teams, that it feels like when they're championship material, they got to knock on the door a few years. And I think the Thunder have been knocking on the door for the past couple of years. And I think this might be the year that they finally kind of push through. I was kind of the same thought as you. It's like, all right, they're very good and they're very talented, but like I've seen this last year where they get knocked out in the second round or they just get a bad matchup or something like that. Or like a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves just sort of like find themselves in the middle of the playoffs and they just start running through people. Not saying that can't happen this year, but I feel like that playoff experience is going to serve them well in these playoffs. And, I just don't see this Boston Celtics repeating. So if I have to pick a team, I'm going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, Cass, thank you so much for coming on. Please go check him out on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. That is an amazing show. You got to come back on our show, though, because that was great.
Hey, man, whenever you guys will have me, it'll be my honor. And thank you for real, man. This is really fun.
No, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. And y'all make sure y'all check out Say Less with Kaz, Low, and Rosie as well.
Yes.
Hey, man, you get a lot of money out here. You get a lot of money out here. I be pocket watching from a distance.
Listen, I got bills.
I see you. This man owns Yeah, I know. You own a house in Jersey. That property tax ain't no...
Hey,
I know.
Come on now. Try my best out here, man. Try my best. That's all I can do. You catch me on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. You check out if you want to my wrestling. I know Rodney is, but you can check me out on the Ring of Wrestling show. every Monday and Thursday. You catch me on Fanatics and Fanatic Sportsbook, talking all things basketball, doing the basketball analyst thing for the betting and all that stuff. And of course, my podcast, Say Less with Kaz, Low-Key, and Rosie, you can catch every Monday on my YouTube page, my X page, TikTok, Instagram, all that. And last but certainly not least, tickets for Wale Mania are on sale right now. You can get them through Ticketmaster.com. Brooklyn Bowl, April 17th, 2025. Special guest of honor, Jeff Hardy, presented by Netflix. It's the 10-year anniversary. It's in Vegas. It's going to be great. Please pull up if you're in Vegas for WrestleMania.
I thought you were going to say special guest Rodney Rakai.
Special guest Rodney Rakai. He's my guest of honor. Damn, we're gonna break him in. We're going to break him in like we do all wrestling fans, baby.
Hey, man. Appreciate you. At some point, let's get back on that flag football field.
Come on now.
Okay, let's see if you still
Come
got
on
it.
now. You can't lock me up.
I love you. Continue to ascension, man. I'm proud of you.
Hey, brother. Proud of you too, brother.
Peace.
As always, man.